Another winner today on Dialing for Dollars, $176. Your turn tomorrow, maybe, and it could be $16,000. A great movie to entice you. It is Wait Until Dark, and it stars Alan Arkin. I hope you have a nice night, and tomorrow I hope you meet me right back here, the $16,000 movie.
Good evening, I'm Nolan Johannes.
And I'm Karen Harch. Coming up on Newswatch 16.
Was potentially dangerous material removed carelessly from this school? I'm Dan Fiocucci. I'll have that report.
Gun safety in the home. I'm Craig Stevens.
I'm Mike Stevens. In Monroe County, a man who makes things with a certain flow to them. We'll meet him along the Pennsylvania Road.
Those stories and more next on Newswatch 16.
Proud to serve northeastern and central Pennsylvania. This is WNEP 16, the news station. Now, Nolan Johannes, Karen Harch, pilot Jack Rulin in Skycam 16, Chief Meteorologist Tom Clark, and Joe Zone on sports. This is Newswatch 16.
Good evening. Was it or was it not there?
Was dangerous cancer-causing asbestos once in a classroom in the Pocono Mountain School District? Newswatch 16's Dan Fiocucci first told you about that controversy last month, and tonight he has learned more. He has more now on this report. Dan?
Nolan, Karen, the EPA says that when you remove insulation from a school, you have to test first to find out if it's asbestos. And if you don't test, you have to treat the insulation as though it's hazardous. A concerned teacher first told us that she suspected insulation in her classroom was asbestos. She gave us a sample of it. We had it tested. The sample did turn out to be asbestos. School officials told us nonsense. There never was any asbestos in room 13 of Pocono Elementary. And now we have information that the school board could not possibly have known what was in that room, and that they may have allowed the material to be removed carelessly and perhaps dangerously. The insulation we're talking about can be seen in this 1979 photo of Classroom 13. It was removed from the classroom last April and replaced with this silvery-looking material. Beth Werkheiser, a third-grade teacher, says that the day after the old insulation was removed, she and some 20 third graders walked into a classroom covered with dust.
There was a film of dust on their desk and on my desk and on the reading table and the bookcases, and it was a very fine, whitish, grayish type dust.
And there was a lot of it all over the classroom.
Yes, there was so much that it needed to be wiped up. You couldn't just ignore it.
The question is, were Miss Werkheiser and her third-grade students exposed to cancer-causing asbestos dust? No one seems to know the answer to that question, because the maintenance supervisor of this school district says no one ever bothered to perform chemical tests on the insulation before it was removed. Mr. Myers, do you know that Mr. Price never tested for asbestos in room 13 before the removal? We tried to talk to school superintendent Elmer Myers about the situation last night. You know that there was dust in that room following the removal and the children may have been exposed to a carcinogen? Myers said he'd been advised by the school board attorney not to talk to us. You have any answer for the taxpayers who send their kids to school there, Mr. Myers? And last week, Mr. Myers told us that to the best of his knowledge, no asbestos insulation had been removed from room 13, but without scientific testing, there's really no way for anyone to know for sure. What we do know tonight, Nolan and Carol, is that no scientific testing was done.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
What should parents do to ensure safety in their home when guns are stored there? What are the rules everyone should follow in their homes for gun safety? We asked Newswatch 16's Craig Stevens to get the answers.
Something you never should. Unloading a gun indoors. It's dangerous and it's stupid. Now, we all know that guns and ammunition are good when they're used for the right purposes, sport and hunting. But in the wrong hands or when used improperly, they can be dangerous. John Matter, who runs Blair's Sporting Goods in Williamsport, is himself an avid sportsman. He offers some tips on how to keep kids from getting into a dangerous situation with guns.
The biggest problem, I would say, is the fact that the children are not educated properly about the guns, about how to load them, how to work the actions, how to handle the gun properly, and the biggest thing is respect for the gun.
There are some common sense tips for guns in the home.
The first step that you can take is has the most common sense, is to separate the ammunition from the firearms, put them in a locked compartment, put them away from the firearms so that the ammunition is not beside the firearm itself.
You can secure the guns too.
Run a lock through the actions of the gun, through the trigger assemblies of the gun, so that the guns cannot be removed from their, whether it be a closet or a gun cabinet.
Handguns, by their very design, present a special problem for kids. Kids are curious about them, so they should definitely be kept away from youngsters. And one final thing to remember, a gun should always be considered loaded until you check it. Craig Stevens, Newswatch 16, Williamsport.
One of the 3 naval officers killed Tuesday night when 2 planes crashed in Florida was a native of Schuylkill County. 38-year-old Commander Greg Owens was an executive officer of an anti-submarine squadron. His parents live in Cressona, Schuylkill County. The Navy says the anti-submarine warfare jet that Owens was in apparently taxied into the path of another military plane that was taking off at the Cecil Field Naval Air Station in Jacksonville, Florida.
Newswatch 16 continues with the real losers in a standoff.
And Mike Stevens has a winner of a story that will warm the hearts of pipe smokers.
High school football 1983, Newswatch 16 Sports. High school football, all the highlights, all the scores on Newswatch 16 Sports Final, Friday night on Newswatch 16 Update.
Some striking bus drivers for Greyhound are predicting trouble if the bus company makes good on its threat to fire all of its drivers if there's no contract settlement by Monday. The unionized bus drivers like these in Scranton took to the picket lines when Greyhound asked that they take pay cuts. The drivers we talked to say even if they crossed picket lines, most of their passengers would boycott Greyhound for trying to bust the union.
It ought to be a very vicious strike.
The strike by Greyhound workers has entered its 2nd week. Some disgruntled unemployed steel workers in Pittsburg are taking credit for a scheme that really smells fishy. Really, it does. It smells fishy. Here's what they did. They put dead fish in safe deposit boxes in 12 branches of the Mellon Bank. The jobless people said they did it because the bank was allegedly making investments in foreign steel companies and thus helping to put the Pittsburg steel workers out of work. The problem is the bank can't empty the safe deposit boxes unless they're declared public hazards. And under the law, dead fish don't apply. Nolan?
The on-again, off-again teachers' strike in Nanticoke was off again today. Selective walkouts by their teachers because of a 2-year-old contract dispute with the Nanticoke Area School Board put the students, such as these at the high school and junior high school, in the dark till late at night on whether they'll have school the next day. That, say some students, isn't doing their study habits any good.
Sometimes you're going to have a quiz the next day, then you don't have school, then they postpone it for the next day, then we might not have school again, then sometimes the quiz never comes up.
You don't know if there's going to be school the next day. You don't know if you should do your homework.
In spite of the problems created, the 2-year-old contract dispute continues tonight in the Luzerne County community.
Well, it was a short Indian summer. Now turned soggy.
Very short. That's right.
Nice weather for ducks, right, Tom?
That's right, Nolan, and also meteorologists. They like weather like this.
As long as they have that umbrella.
That's right. Well, I'm all set to go. I have my umbrella, my slicker, and my duck boots.
Oh,
okay?
right.
So, the question is, will this rain change to snow? I'll have the answer from the backyard in a minute. Join me.
Are you just hanging around, wandering with nothing to do? If you can't bear another Saturday night alone, we found something for you. Take a dash of Stansoa and a splash of Joe's Own. Add some shake, rattle, and roll. Blend the Lone Ranger and Orville Wright. Mix in some Bambi and some Snow White. And you get a great family night. Pennsylvania Outdoor Life, Saturdays at 7.
And now to the meteorologist who last night said, we need some rain.
Yes.
He's standing in it right now. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Nolan. The ground needed it. I didn't necessarily. I wouldn't even put my dog out on a night like tonight, folks. It is windy and stormy outside. Let me show you the temperature as it stands in this backyard. Kind of chilly, although it got kind of mild this afternoon. We're down to about 51 degrees outside now. The rain still coming down, and the winds gusting now up to about 25 miles per hour at times. They're from the east, averaging 18 miles per hour. The humidity's way up there high, the barometer falling rapidly, 29.66 inches. 57 was the high today. The record high, 73 degrees back in 1948. We dropped down to 40 last night. Okay, let's check sky-worn radar quickly. We can see some mountain echoes for the most part, but rain falling throughout the Channel 16 viewing area now. Most of it light and not showing up, but I do see a few pockets of heavier rain moving through the area now, and it could rain heavy briefly at your house between now and midnight. Now, Newswatch 16's color satellite photograph shows a very powerful storm system heading towards Pennsylvania. It is now over Ohio, where there's some heavy rain falling, but in the past 24 hours, up to a foot of snow has fallen in the cold air behind this storm up in northern Wisconsin. Freeze warnings out tonight down into the hill country of southern Texas. Cold air penetrating southward behind this storm system, and as a matter of fact, we have two storms coming in towards Pennsylvania, and they will merge into one very powerful storm right over the state tomorrow morning. Watch your barometer drop down to about 29.2 by about 8 o'clock tomorrow. Rainfall could be heavy at times because there is upward motion in the atmosphere, and that's what you have when storm systems approach your area, and that's what we have tonight. You can see the rain clouds out that way. A very powerful storm also out in the northwestern part of the nation. 100-mile-per-hour winds at one point in Oregon this afternoon, and as much as 6 inches of rain has fallen in portions of northern California. That storm moving ashore out that way. But we have to contend with one big one now, moving in from Ohio and from along the coast. Here's the forecast for tonight. It looks like this. Wind, a lot of it gusting up to 25 miles per hour at times. Rain, some of it heavy, and some fog in the mountains, some of it dense. Low temperatures tonight, 48 Towanda, 49 in Sturgis, up there around Archibald, 48 in Drifton, 48 in Montgomery, and 49 down in Tremont in Schuylkill County. And a big hello and welcome goes out tonight to some viewers we have watching us now on the Wire Teleview Corporation cable. And a special hello goes out tonight to Wire Teleview's General Manager, Thelma Krepak. I hope you're watching tonight. Welcome to the world of outdoor weather forecasting. Here you go. Your health watch for tomorrow looks like this. Well, take a look. It won't come up next. All the categories very low tomorrow, okay? Your resistance to aches and pains low because of the dampness, and also your mood on the low side as well. Very unstable conditions tomorrow. The rain will continue into Friday, only about 50 tomorrow. Cold air comes in behind the storm Saturday night, or Friday night and Saturday. Snow flurries will fill the air on Saturday. Only 37 for the high. Wind chills about 15 degrees on Saturday morning. Sunny on Sunday. So there you go. Roads are slippery when wet. Remember that when you're driving.
Okay, we'll be careful.
That's good advice. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Now, next we'll have the sports indoors. Joe Zone's coming up.
And he has the Sports Star of the Week.
Enjoy, enjoy our flaming folding season.
Well, last night Joe promised us a prediction on the Hagler-Duran fight.
I'm waiting.
You guys stayed up all night waiting for that one,
huh?
Sure we did.
Let's talk a little bit about the fight first, and then we'll get to it. The reason they have weight divisions, you know, in boxing is so that big guys don't beat up on the little guys. Well, one of the littler guys, Roberto Duran, has put on some weight so that he can go after one of the bigger guys, Marvin Hagler. With all of the interest in the fight, Tim Carlson wanted to find out who you think's going to win. So he went out on the streets to see if there was a clear-cut favorite in northeastern Pennsylvania.
Hagler. Why?
Too strong for him, definitely.
You think it has to do with size or just physical strength or what?
Physical strength. Duran's too old, too.
Roberto Duran.
All right, why?
He's tough. Fist of stone. He wants it. He's hungry for it. He's going to win.
Marvelous Marvin, definitely.
You have a good reason?
Yeah, I think Duran's going to be a little surprised to see his strength with Sugar Ray's speed, because Hagler's I think he's a fast fighter, and I don't know if Duran's going to be able to come up from the well one more time.
Definitely Hagler.
Why?
He's just going to destroy Duran tonight.
Hagler.
How many rounds?
7.
You just think he's a better fighter, huh?
Yes, I do.
Well, I take Hagler. I'm from New Hampshire, and he's one of our close neighbors from the Cape.
How about that? Other than that, though, you must think he's a pretty good fighter.
Yeah, he's been held behind for quite a few years. He hasn't been recognized. He's been a rebel behind the scenes, and he's finally getting his due.
The fight will be shown on closed circuit at Genetti's in Wilkes-Barre, the Watrous Armory in Scranton, St. Joseph's Hall in Hazleton, and Caesars in the Poconos. 10:30 scheduled start. We'll be at one of those places for a live report. And now, I like Hagler in this one. I am predicting You ready? Ding, ding. Thank you, Lisa. We could sit here all week and argue about what it is that has made the Hanover football team so good. But one thing you cannot argue about, and that is the contribution of this week's sports star, Eddie Frisbee.
Yeah, we think he's the best player in the league ourselves, and he's going to be a good find for some college.
You can't blame Hanover coach Al Kopaz for feeling that way about Eddie Frisbee. Kopaz and about 8,000 other people had just seen Frisbee play one of the most complete football games possible, and against one of the toughest teams around. Complete, in this case, means wide receiver. Frisbee had an important catch in the only TD drive of the game. Defensive back, he had 2 interceptions. Punter, several booming kicks that pinned Coughlin deep. And a specialty team member, an open field tackle on a kickoff that saved a Coughlin touchdown. Somehow, some way, Eddie Frisbee was involved in every Hanover play.
It helps, you know, because you're always on the field and you're always in the groove of things, you know. You don't get on the sidelines and get yourself down. You always have to stay up because you're in the game.
All of this is kind of new to Frisbee. A year ago, he was just another player on another so-so team.
Ed was sort of a sleeper, you might say, this year. Last year, he played both ways for us last year. He was a lot smaller last year, and he wasn't looked at. His accomplishments weren't nowhere near as great as they were this year. He sort of came into his own this year. And
Eddie Frisbee, one of the few players around who can dominate a high school football game. He's the wnep-tv Sports Star of the Week. Sports Star runners-up, Andy Mills of Berwick, Randy Castellani, Valley View, Rusty Frick of Lycoming, and Dave Clark of the Scranton Eagles. The Goose Gossage sweepstakes have begun. The Atlanta Braves have offered the Yankee reliever a pretty hefty contract. Gossage wants more than $1 million a year for 5 years. Yanks, incidentally, are still in the running. Something tells me they are going after him. That's all of it. Give tonight your best shot. I will see you at 11 o'clock. Live report on the fight. And I predict it'll be over by the time we go on the air at 11:20. By the time I go on the air.
I'll go along with Hagler, but I don't know about a knockout.
Yeah.
TKO.
TKO.
Well...
See, that's right. He said TKO. We've got to remember that. And for those who couldn't see because your sets are too small or something, Joe Zone says TKO, Hagler 9th, right?
Right.
Right.
Okay, we'll see.
And we'll go outside next. Newswatch 16 gets on the Pennsylvania Road with Mike Stevens.
We'll get a look at a guy and his passion for bringing briar to life.
Hi, I'm Sue Heon from Clark Summit. Northeastern Pennsylvania was a place where I first grew to love swimming. At Abington Heights, I spent a lot of hours in the pool, but it's nothing like the 8 hours a day that I spend in training here at Germantown Academy for the 1984 Olympics. Please support the United States Olympic Foundation, and who knows, maybe you'll be seeing me in the 1984 Games.
Mike Stevens is a pipe lover, and while poking around East Stroudsburg, he found someone who made his eyes sparkle. Who Mike found is a fellow with a knack of turning briar into a collector's item.
You know, many a pipe smoker can tell you the joys of smoking a finely turned pipe packed with good tobacco and lit just right. But ask him how that pipe came to be. He might be stuck for an answer.
But George Allen can tell you where pipes come from. He has brought many of them into this world. George Allen is good at looking at an ordinary piece of briar and finding the one-of-a-kind pipe hidden there.
There's a pretty soft briar right there, so that's what I said, and it's comparatively light to some of it. The white is better than the heavy, hard stuff. Right. I can tell the way a knife is cutting. You see? The way my blade is cutting the pipe, I can tell whether it's a hard briar.
George will design you a pipe from an idea, cutting away bits and pieces of briar to get to what you want. Some people have wanted an awful lot.
And he said, I'm a retired railroader, and I want a train going through a tunnel on one side, which would be the caboose, coming out of the other side, which would be the engine, a steam engine.
Most of the designs George makes are more routine. Still, they reflect the hand and eye of a man who for nearly 30 years has practiced the art of looking for something unique in a block of wood.
Designing, I think, is, in most anything, is the satisfaction that you want to outdo yourself. I won't say that they're good, all of them, but you have that desire. I like them because they make a good smoke, and also it's a collector's item. And I like to feel that it's pretty complete. It flows nice.
It flows nice. Yes, it does, George. Yes, it does. I'm Mike Stevens, Newswatch 16, on the Pennsylvania Road in East Stroudsburg.
And before we say goodnight, we'd like to congratulate one of our reporters, Bob Reynolds, and his wife, Mary. They are now the proud parents of a brand new bouncing baby girl, little Melissa weighed in at 7 pounds and a half ounce today.
Isn't that nice?
That makes 4 children for the Reynolds.
4, and that is Newswatch 16 for a Thursday.
Enjoy your evening.